I'm about to be 23 years old, and I have no idea in what direction my life is going. I do not fear competition, but I do deeply fear wasted potential. Something I find myself always saying to my friends when they host a game night or we're doing an activity with the kids that I work with is, I'm not a competitive person. I never have. I never was a competitive person. I played very minimal sports growing up. My parents didn't think sports were of any value to be placing me in. And so I think because of that, I really was never competitive. I mean, everyone wants to win at something, but it was never like I'm going to die if I don't win type feeling. And sometimes I am really jealous of D1 athletes, soccer players, track and field athletes that just have this hunger and desire for something so mundane like winning. I know that's crazy of me to say that winning is mundane when people have built up lives and careers over winning, but I don't know, that's never been my vision. And I think the hunger and thirst that those athletes feel towards the sport they play is the hunger and thirst that I feel at wasting the potential in my life. I was talking to my best friend the other day, and I told her that I sat and I analyzed my life. I come from immigrant parents. I come from a lineage of women who never got to be educated. They never got to have jobs. They solely depended on a man to provide their food and water. And it was a scary place to be. And I think somehow, some way, just knowing that in the back of my brain causes so much anxiety that I am one of the first women in my lineage who has so much power in the palm of her hands. And because of that, I feel that I have become this human being that wants to do it all. A couple years ago, I read The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, whatever her name is. I thought the book was mediocre, personally, not really my take. But the number one thing that stood out to me about that book was the fig tree analogy. And my brain just works very differently. I acknowledge and I understand that. But that fig tree analogy meant so much to me. And I think I'm a very visual person sometimes, and it just so happens that we have a huge fig tree in my house, a ginormous fig tree that every summer produces hundreds and hundreds of beautifully ripe figs. And they're so delicious. And so I can visualize a tree that has hundreds of figs in it, figs that I can't even see. And when I read that analogy, it terrifies me. It terrifies me as a person who strives for success, who strives to make something out of herself. When I first went to university, I felt this power inside of me that I was the first person, not even just the first woman, the first person in my family to leave. Not because I was living in horrible conditions and had to leave to another country or to another state to get a better life, but I was the first person in my lineage to have the opportunity to leave, to just study, to better her life, to go somewhere new and explore a different part of the world that none of my family had ever been to. I know I'm saying it in these grand poetic ways when it was just Seattle, Washington, but I don't ever want it to just be Seattle. I want it to always be a place where I had the ability to grow and learn and be this adult, And I think of that, going and being educated. And then I think about my passion for cooking and baking and making things with my hands. And then I think about my other passion that I've had about learning how to code and learning how to build things and technology and AI. And just, I start thinking about all these things that I do in my life, the time that I spend at church just serving, because I love the genuine feeling of being able to serve young people in my community to be on a better path, to be closer to the Lord. And it all brings me back to the fig analogy. And there was a period in my life where this was the fig that I wanted. I wanted to climb up the corporate ladder and to be some grand engineer that made some huge breakthrough for the world, and to be a part of these Fortune 500 companies and be part of FANG, and just, it was insane, the passion, the desire that I had for it. And it was the one fig that I wanted. But what happens when that fig suddenly becomes rotten? Because you didn't pick it in time, and now it's gone to waste. I'm not saying that my time studying computer science has been a waste, but I'm saying that things change. Time passes, wisdom is passed down, and you start seeing things from a different angle. And at some point in my time in Seattle, I got very lost very quickly. And suddenly I was diagnosed with ADHD, and everything made sense as to why things were no longer clicking for me like they once did growing up. And then a reality came into my mind of, this passion that you've had for the tech world is great, but it's not everything. There's so much more to this life that you love and desire. And suddenly Seattle was no longer the dream that I had. I didn't want to live there anymore. I was miserable. And computer science suddenly became a challenging thing to me because it was something I no longer loved anymore. It was cool and I liked learning how to do it, but it was very difficult for me. And then I came home and I threw all of that away. I threw my timeline away which was something that would have been so unheard of for my 16-year-old self. How could I throw away a timeline? Why would I not suck it up and just be a depressed person living in Seattle, another number, and just get through it? But something finally clicked in me where I said, I don't have to live this life. And there are other options, and I can choose something different. And so I came home, and I threw out that timeline. And to this day, I still don't know what the timeline is. I don't know if I'm graduating in 6 months or in a year or a year and a half. But there was something so freeing of saying, I don't care anymore. I don't care. And now seeing all these different fig trees and then seeing all these different figs lined up for me. Because then suddenly something shifted in me that said, hey, despite everything that I have seen and been through that has made me become so bitter and twisted, I actually do desire to be a mom one day. And I desire to be married and to have a partner that helps me raise children. And I know that's insane to say in this day and age because trad wife life is so frowned upon. But what happens when you go from climbing the corporate ladder to then wanting to raise the children of the next generation? I don't know. I really don't know. And it's something that goes back and forth in my head. And I often wonder, can I climb the corporate ladder and have kids at the same time? I don't know. And why do men not feel this way? I don't know. That was one fig. And then I started to see another fig when I opened up my little hobby business of selling baked goods. And then 6 months later, selling coffees. And it suddenly became this passion that I had that I didn't know I had within me, where I had so much joy serving people food and beverages, to have a smile on their face for them to say, this is so delicious. I love this. I need this. I crave this. And suddenly that was another fig. Oh, and let's not forget this fig, the fig that I've had my whole entire life since I've been a child, to film, to create, to visualize for people. And so then suddenly you're sitting there wondering, oh no, what do I choose? And for a period of time, it was this crippling, debilitating feeling of, what if I choose the wrong fig? And it's so debilitating that for a period I did nothing. I started to just become mediocre at everything I did, without passion, without drive, without desire, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't know what was worth me pouring my time into. And it became this hard decision of, what do I choose? And am I going to disappoint my parents? Am I going to disappoint the people around me, the people that love me, the people that have always encouraged and uplifted me? And I don't know what to do anymore. And suddenly things started to finally click for me. And I realized, what if you do not have to choose? What if you could actually pick all the figs? What if you could have all of them? And I know that's a crazy idea to have. Imagine a tech mother engineer who owns a bakery and also makes YouTube videos. That's a little bit insane. Isn't that kind of what I've been doing? I mean, except the mother part. I'm not a mother yet. And we're not there. But the bakery student video portion, isn't that what I'm already doing? I understand the idea of just pick one and pour your all into it. But what if you love something so much, so many things? What if I can pour my all into all three of them? And I know some people, logistically, mathematically speaking, that's impossible. You can't pour everything, but I'm going to try. Because that is my biggest fear. It's never been competition. It's never been, oh, the girl, a couple doors down also opened a coffee cart, or the girl that I went to high school with decided to go into computer science too, or, oh my gosh, she decided to upload a YouTube video. Like, no, who cares? Who cares? My favorite saying the last couple of months has been, el sol sale para todos. The sun rises for all. And so if Cindy down the street and Mariela down over here wants to do the same thing I'm doing, then Lord, I bless their lives. And I hope that they become successful too. The same way that I hope it for myself. But that's never been the fear in my head. It's never been the competition. It's been the fear of sitting there and not doing it. And so I don't know, that's just my encouragement of, don't sit there and wait. Because the figs will rot. The figs will die off. The birds will come and pluck those figs off. And they'll mold. But that happens when you sit there and you let time isolate you. And you let people's comments and concerns eat up your life. Those people are the birds in question. And your ideas are the figs. You do not have to have one singular fig in this life. And I certainly will not. And whether I do something for just a time period or a season of my life, then so be it. I have this grand vision of one day maybe doing some sort of seminary school or theology degree. And it just seems so far-fetched. So far. What could a little Mexican girl know about theology? But something within me desires it and wants it so badly. And I know that maybe it's not in this season because I do have a full plate. I have my business, I have school, I have work, and I have, my hobbies. But what if 5 years from now things slow down a bit? I graduate from school, my job's a little bit more steady. I have my business running maybe with my husband per se. What if I can also take the time to do seminary? I hear about the people that go back to school in their 50s, 60s. I know that the time is there, and I know that there are seasons and they are just little plots, and that the Lord has built this up for me. But I am not about to sit here and waste what the Lord has given me, the desire, the talent, the passion. Do not let the figs rot. Do not sit there waiting idly. Put in the work and do what you love.